So I decided to start buying salvage vehicles on Coparts and fix them up and sell them. I think I'm mostly going to focus on Jeeps. Being that I'm in Florida, and there's hurricanes that love Florida, there's a lot of flooded vehicles here. And Jeeps are really made to withstand water, right? They know people are going to take them off-road, people are going to, go mudding, go through trails and water, not to mention when the tops are taken off, they know people are going to get caught in the rain, so they're more reliable when it comes to floods. Doesn't mean that, the whole instrument panel can't go bad, but you have a much better chance. And not only that, I just love Jeeps. But that brings me to, I wanted to get started in this, and I didn't really know how. I started watching videos on some guys that were doing exotic cars, and so I said, okay, so let me look into it. So this video is to help you kind of navigate the beginning and the costs that go along with it that may surprise you. So when I started looking, the first thing that I would recommend doing is go to Copart's website and just look around. Look at all the different things you can bid on. There's cars, there's trucks, there's RVs, there's motorcycles, UTVs, trailers, and even like heavy equipment. So I started going through, and in order to bid on Coparts, you have to become a member, and they have, I think, 2 different memberships. They have a basic and a premier. The basic's like $99 for 1 year, and then you have to deposit 10% of however much you're willing to spend. So if I'm willing to spend $20,000 on a vehicle, I have to put in $2,000. All right, so that allows me buying power of $2,000. So the catch here is, depending on where you live, depends on whether or not you need a broker. Well, I thought, being that I don't have a license, I thought anybody who bids on cars, you have to have a license, meaning a dealership license, a broker license. You have to have a place to, and when I started looking into it, in order to be a broker, you have to have a place to sell cars. You can't just do it out of your home, set up an LLC and do it out of your home. You actually have to have a physical place where you sell cars, and license, and state ID tax, and all this stuff. So I decided to start researching brokers, and when I did, the first broker that I came across, because Coparts has brokers listed on their site, the first broker, I noticed they have a membership fee, and then they want 4% of whatever you buy that car for. So if you bought a $100,000 car, you're paying your broker $4,000, among some other fees I'll get into. And that's just your broker fees. That doesn't include the Coparts fees, again, which I'll get into. So I looked at some other brokers because I want to compare, is everybody like this? And the broker I found, their transaction fee was 1.5%. So I was like, wow, that's a big difference. So I signed up with the broker, and the broker that I signed up with is A Better Bid. And they have 3 different memberships. And I bought the top tier membership. It was $349 for a year. And you get, obviously, some more advantages to that. You get 50 VIN checks. And I would recommend probably getting a cheaper membership and just getting a membership to a VIN company that does those VIN searches, and you can get unlimited amounts. But with this one, you get 50 VIN checks and some other perks. So it's $350 a year. And then as I'm reading through their membership, you pay $199 administrative fee, and then you pay $199 or 1.5% of the transaction fee, whichever is greater. So I went ahead and signed up with them. I started looking through Coparts. I also realized that I didn't need a broker for every auction, because they have auctions in almost every state, almost every day, from Florida to California. In certain states, their rules, I'll give you an example. So for Florida, you have to have a broker's license. Georgia, Texas, North Carolina, you do not. South Carolina you do, and then it even breaks it down, which I don't understand. Some states, in order to bid on a vehicle that has a title, non-salvageable title, just a regular title, you have to be a broker. But if you bid on a salvage vehicle that has a rebuildable title, you don't have to be a broker. That's certain states. And so Coparts lists all those states and what their requirements are. So you can look that up before bidding, because if you're bidding like me in Florida, my first thing I bid on was a trailer, and it was in Georgia. Well, I didn't know I didn't have to have a broker. I ended up paying $500 more for this trailer because I bid through my broker than bidding through Coparts. So as I'm looking around, once I got a membership and I paid it, and I put money, again, better bid is the same thing. You put 10% of however much you're willing to bid up to. So as I'm looking around, the first thing, I wanted something small, something cheap, and get my feet wet and see how the process goes. And as I'm looking through Coparts, as I've told you, you should look through all the different categories. Well, I was looking through trailers, and I saw a trailer, and it's called a PJ's Buggy Hauler. It's a trailer that I've wanted for a long time. The trailer that I bought instead, through this guy that was building it for me, he talked me into doing a deck over trailer. It's tall, it's high, and I didn't want it. So I saw this trailer. It's a salvage trailer, because now I'm in Florida, and I always recommend trying to bid on things in your city or close by, so you can go and physically look at them and see what all's wrong with them, because that's going to determine how much it's going to cost to repair. I wasn't able to do that with this trailer because it was in Georgia, but it's a trailer. I mean, there's no engine. Everything looked good except the two front tires were off the front axle. So I thought, well, it was just something that had to do with either the brakes, the electric brakes, or the wheels. So I put in a bid. Actually, they have a buy it now. Some people do buy it now, but I bought it. And once I got up there, I'll tell you about that experience, but the axle was actually bent. So putting tires on it and driving it home because luckily I had two axles, and I drove it home on just the tires on the rear axle, but I wouldn't have been able to put tires on it anyways. There's no way of me knowing that through the pictures. So I always recommend trying to put eyes on it. You can go to Coparts, and if there's a lot you want to see, you can go look at that lot before you bid on it and check it out. So I always recommend that. So when you are looking at the auction, and you're looking at the prices, some will be the highest bid. Basically, whoever gets the highest bid gets it. Then there's some vehicles that are on reserve, which means you have to meet a certain amount before they'll sell that vehicle. And then there's some that just say buy it now, and you can buy the vehicle for that amount. So the trailer was, I was bidding on it. There was a buy it now amount, but there was no reserve. And once you buy it and you're watching the auction, it will say 1 on approval. Well, whoever owns that vehicle, whatever insurance company, whoever owns it, whatever that highest bid is, they have to approve it, and they have 24 hours in order to approve it or to deny it. And they may give you a counter offer and give you an option to buy it. So just because you win the auction, win the highest bid on that vehicle or item, does not mean you actually win it, because it still has to be approved on certain ones, the ones that have a minimum, that aren't whatever the highest bid is, wins it, have to be approved. So you'll get notified usually pretty quickly. So mine was, I let it go. They offered me less money. I think it was buy it now for $3,600, and then they came back and said, or $3,700 buy it now. Then they came back after the auction and said, we'll sell it for $3,600, and I put in $3,300. Next thing I know, it's back up for auction. So I knew if they had it again for buy it now, I was going to buy it, because those trailers sell for $7,500. So I knew there couldn't be that much wrong with it to fix. And even if I got it for $3,600, I would be getting a good deal. So I went ahead and bought it now, and I bought it through a Better Bid, my broker, again, which I didn't need to. So I got my bill, and it was for $4,749. 47. I bought my highest. I paid by it now $3,400. I end up paying $4,749. So I'm like, how is this possible? So I had researched all the fees on a Better Bid, and in their member service agreement or member agreement and under fees and everything, in one area it says for that $349 membership, now the lower price memberships, you're going to pay more for the transaction fee. For the $349 membership, you're going to pay 1.5%, which in the end is a better deal, because if you're buying a $20,000 vehicle, you make up that difference. If you're buying a $299 membership, that extra $100 you're making up when you're starting to bid on these vehicles by saving money by buying the higher end membership. So once I started looking at the fees and their membership on their service agreement, I actually noticed that, sorry, my phone's going off, that lower in the service agreement it said 3%. So I had to contact them and say, what's going on here? So they made a mistake in their service agreement, and I caught it. So I thought I knew of all the fees, and I wasn't going to be surprised. Well, once I got the bill, it said a broker fee of $100. I'm like, where is that? That's not. I called them. I said, where is that? And they're like, well, if you scroll down to section 6 under H, there's a link there, and if you click on that link, then it will tell you that the auction charges a $100 broker fee. I'm like, well, why wouldn't you have that under fees? I mean, just out in the open under your membership, you have that there's a $199 administrative fee and $199 or 1.5% transaction fee. Why wouldn't you include that extra $100 there so people know? To me, it was kind of like shady as hell. That's just the broker fee. Once you win that $3,400, Coparts has their fees. That's how this accumulated from $3,400 to $4,749. So now you know all the broker fees. Now the Copart fees. For whatever price you pay, they have it broken down on their site. So again, between $3,000 and $3,500, the transaction fee for Coparts is $650. And then my broker has a $200 transaction fee. So $650, I'm paying more for that trailer, and it breaks it down in the different prices. And then once you get over $8,000, it's just 7.5% transaction fee. So these are Coparts transaction fees, 7.5%. Then they charge you a $79 gate fee. So you can't go through the gate until you pay $79 to get your vehicle. And then they charge you to bid on your phone or computer. And depending on how much the vehicle costs, again, for $3,400, it cost me $89 because I was bidding on my computer. But if you're at the site bidding on their kiosk, you save that $89. But they charge you to bid on your cell phone or computer. And again, for me, it was $89. The highest amount you will pay is $125. Then they charge you a $10 environmental fee. So you pay a $600. I paid a $650 transaction fee, and they couldn't roll that $10 into that. They have to have a separate environmental fee. So they nickel and dime you to death. So if you think you're buying something for $3,400 and you're going to fix it and flip it, well, whatever it is, you need to research that vehicle and say, okay, this is, let's say it's a 2021 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited, and it's got 15,000 miles, 20,000 miles, and it's a Rubicon, or it's a Safari, or whatever model is. You need to see what those cars are selling for, and just know that if it's a salvage title, you're not going to be able to sell it for the same thing. You're going to have to take a $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 loss because it had been flooded or it had been wrecked, and people don't really want to buy wrecked vehicles unless they're really getting a good deal. So if this Jeep sells for $40,000 and I buy it for $25,000, and then by the time I pay all the fees, I'm at $30,000, $31,000, and then I have to pay for all the parts to fix it, and paint it, and now that's another $5,000 or $6,000. Well, you know, I may make, you know, and you never know all the problems that are going to be with it and exactly how much it's going to cost. And mostly when you get into the electrical stuff, like with flooded vehicles, you have no idea, you know, so you always have to account for the worst case scenario. You may lose money. Their fees are outrageous, and you really have to get a good deal when you're bidding in order to make sure that you're going to make a profit. So you have to, all these different things, if you're thinking about getting into this, these are all the things that are so important to know before you start bidding on something. And so Coparts has like a calculator. If you were to bid so much money, this is how much it's going to cost you in the end. So you'll know exactly if you, and you can set your max bid and turn your computer off, and when the auction comes up, it will bid up to that amount for you. And if you win the bid, they'll let you know. If you don't, you don't. But if you say, okay, I'm going to bid $25,000, that's my max bid, and the auction starts at $15,000, it will bid in like $100, $150 increments. And if somebody bids, then it will place your bid over there. Somebody else bids, it will place your bid over there up till $25,000. After that, you've been outbid and you're not going to win the vehicle. But let's say the bidding stops at $22,000. Well, you won the vehicle at $22,000. Just because you put 25 in does not mean you have to pay 25. But that calculator will help you with all the fees that they've listed. Now, if you're bidding through Coparts in a state that doesn't require a broker, then you don't pay that $199 transaction fee. You don't pay that additional administrative fee. You don't pay that $100 broker fee. So $500 you save. For me, on a trailer, when you have something that you're not paying a lot of money for, you know, if I was to buy that trailer for $3,400 and I wanted to sell it, make maybe, for me, it's not worth going through all this and making repairs and all that to only make $500. But by the time I had to buy a new axle for it, that was $300. I had to buy 2 brand new wheels and tires. That was $300. Lug nuts, I had to buy a new leaf spring. That was $100. Plus all those fees. If I was to go out and get one that wasn't wrecked or had a salvage title, I would pay the same amount. But now mine has a salvage title, so I would have to sell it for less. But I'm buying this vehicle for me, so I don't care. But if you're buying a vehicle to sell it, man, you've got to really make sure that you know all the fees that are associated with this. So hopefully you live in a state that you don't have to have a broker. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to go to some local dealers and make a deal with them and say, look, for every vehicle or item I buy, you know, say under 15,000 or 10,000, I'll pay you $100. For anything over 15,000, I'll pay you $200 or whatever. That way you're not locked in to paying a membership fee and all these other fees. And I don't know, there's got to be somebody that'll take me up on that. And I'll use their broker license and whatever. We'll see if that works. I don't like paying an extra $500 on a vehicle. It's just a waste of money. So hopefully you live in a state you don't have to have a broker. If you do, research your brokers and do your reading. Make sure you read their contracts, and you know, it is what it is. It's so when you're buying something that's not very expensive, all those fees add up really quickly. And for some reason, when I'm looking at Coparts fees on their transaction fees, that 3,000 to 4,000, it goes from like 600 700, like really quick. Like you pay a lot of money in that area, and then as you go up, it only goes up like by 25 bucks and 50 bucks. So if I was buying a $7,500 vehicle, instead of $650, it might only be $800. So it's not like, it doesn't go up just $25 in increments. It's weird. So you lose a lot of your profit in that area of that $3,500, because there's a lot of cars that you can buy in that area, but you're paying an extra $650 plus an extra $79 gate fee, plus at the most an extra $125 for bidding online, plus $10. So anyways, I hope this helps if you're looking to get into this. If you have any other questions, please, comment. And if you like the content, I've got a lot of builds going on. Like I said, I'm going to be buying Jeeps, custom Jeeps, and I'm going to do some really cool builds. I'm not just going to repair them, but I want to do some really cool things with Jeeps. I've got, if you look on my channel, the Black Widow Jeep I'm building right now. It's a twin turbo CJ7 that I'm building for Tennessee Jeep Invasion and also SEMA this year. And I've got an 83 CJ7 with 1-ton running gear. I've got a 65 Mustang Fastback. The truck that I'm pulling right now is my Chevy 2500 that has over 1,000 horsepower, rear wheel horsepower, and 2,160 torque. But I believe I blew the engine on it, and that's why I'm taking it to the shop right now, because I'm in the middle of building my Jeep and I can't put this truck on my lift at home and pull the motor. I just don't have time. So this truck right here, I've got some videos coming out on it. It is a beast. It is fast. And so if you like stuff like this, please hit like and subscribe. You know the deal. It helps. And please support your veterans and police officers, and